Welcome back everyone to another Company Furious 2 replay cast. This time it is going to be a match from Koto.org. To be completely honest with you, I have no idea if this is actually going to be a good match or not, but it looked to be pretty humorous considering the comments to the replay on Koto.org, so who knows. So we have Jam and Rock playing as the Soviets. His friend is going to be Captain S. Price, of course, the glorious Polish lord of Company Furious 2. Also playing as the Soviets, and on the opposing side we're gonna have Joris. I believe this is Joris WW, right? Yeah, I think so. So Joris as the UKW, and well, Google Translate seems to think that this is pronounced Wang Jun Sun, so that's what I'll call him. I'll call him Jung Sun or Johnson. So whatever, Johnson. Johnson is going to be playing as the Wehrmacht. Now the map is Schilberg Outskirts. As you may or may not remember, this is the map with the key buildings at the VPs and the fuels. So you have this building up here by the fuel and a VP, then just a slight bit down here another VP, another building, and then just down here another VP and a fuel, and another couple of buildings in the area that can be used. So of course you gotta kind of rush for these and be very afraid of the enemy. Now Captain S. Price is kind of a meme lord, so he's gonna go for a sniper. Sniper, interesting choice, of course, against the OKW. It is also a very good one in a way because, of course, the OKW does not have a counter sniper. So, hey, these guys are gonna have pretty much free reign to just pop away at these storm piles and force them to either fall back or run at the snipers. At this point, running at the snipers would be actually a pretty decent idea once the Germans get a few troops together, because of course sniper first means that the Axis pretty much have the advantage when it comes to troop numbers and map control, because there will not be any squads left around to cap. Now unfortunately for this MG, it's going to get a little bit flanked by the combat engineers, so it's going to do a bit of a dance to try to shoot them, but then it's not going to work, and the snipers in the meantime are shooting at the MG. Oh, that's a misclick. Oh no, that's not a misclick because it's a cube wagon. So yeah, Captain S. Price having to retreat away with the cube wagon, threatening his snipers, and ooh, he might actually lose one of the models in the sniper team. One last burst does take down one of the sniper guys, and at this point we have the Penal Battalion forcing away the cube wagon, so that's kind of okay overall. Oh, damn. So the M3 scout car from Jam Rock does come in and destroy the cube wagon, although the scout car itself takes a Panzerfaust for its troubles from the Grenadiers. There's another Grenadier squad with enough munitions for a Panzerfaust coming in from Johnson, and in fact 2 Grenadiers are just charging in after that M3. This could be not good, and Satchel Charge does unfortunately fail at driving away the Sturm piles. So here comes the Volksgrenadiers and the Sturm piles pressuring against the scout car. At the same time, it seems like we have another failed capture from Jam and Rock, and he's going to lose his engineers. Yeah, this is not very good. Looks like he's lost both his engineer squads, and he's building another one. Or maybe just one of the engineer squads. Yeah, we know one of the engineer squads was just up there, and then in the clown car there were only Penal Battalion. Okay, and then at this point also Captain S. Price is getting forced away from his objectives in the south, and just kind of having to place himself right near the front line. Snipers taking some fire from the Volksgrenadiers. Not sure why the snipers were so far ahead with the Volksgrenadiers being so close to them and them being unopposed, but they do manage to escape, and just slightly outside the killing range of these penals. Yeah, overall they will just survive. There's a shoe mine from, of course, Joris. So Joris planting down some mines, and he's also got a truck, so he can go with a battle group headquarters in the base. So very defensive play, I guess, from Joris with the battle group headquarters in the base. Overall, very conservative and trying to just not lose the battle group in any kind of way. Probably a good choice considering that both his opponents went for a tier 1. So of course 2 Soviets with tier 1 equals lots of penals equals satchel charges. If you place your battle group headquarters a little bit too far ahead, you can get punished quite easily by these. Right now it seems like these penals are using the yellow cover by the crater to get a lot of damage off on these folks, and they almost managed to get the wipe. Can they finish it off at the long range? Yes, they can. Excellent job from these penals, getting the first wipe off on the Axis forces. I'm pretty sure that they still haven't lost any kind of other units. At this point, it looks like we have finally enough munitions for Jam and Rock, and he has upgraded the flamethrower on his combat engineers. So he's got that combat engineer clown car combo. So that means that he can repair himself, as opposed to the clown car with the penals, which has just slight mid-more firepower due to the SVTs instead of the engineer Mossens. But overall, this could be a whole lot worse for the Germans. I mean, they have map control, they have free VPs. Well, at this point, they've lost the southern one, but overall, they have managed to get themselves a bit of an advantage. And right now, they're even pressuring against these penals, who are so desperately trying to cap the VPN that they might die because of it. But they survive, so that's pretty fine. Captain S. Price going into for some conscripts, so I guess he just doesn't want more penals because they might be a little bit too expensive. Yeah, I think he might just be trying to pump out as many squads as possible to get as much map control on the field, as much capping power around, and overall that's probably a good idea. I mean, if I were Captain S. Price right now, I would be pretty worried about the fact that I'm pushed all the way to the base. Even with the snipers, of course, he hasn't been able to win too many engagements because, of course, the snipers, it's just a little bit too early for them to be very, very cost-effective. I mean, still 360 manpower squads that can only pop off one round at a time. And, yeah, there goes the Flamer. So that's unfortunate for Captain S. Price. He's going to have to rebuild the engineers as well. That's very, very bad. Of course, not the worst investment when it comes to manpower, like 170. But still, I'd rather not have lost that squad. Still, this was mostly due to Joris playing well than Captain S. Price making mistakes. So that's okay. And right now, it seems like Jamie Rock has gone for anti-infantry tactics. I'm not sure I agree. He's gone for some shock troops, and he placed the shock troops in the M3 Scout Car. Well, this is new. Of course, this is going to be less effective at dealing with infantry and buildings, but more effective at dealing with something like this, due to the fact that the shock troops can just kind of dismount and pop off a lot of rounds with their papashas and just shred those squads apart. Of course, there's a bit of a problem with that plan, which is the half track. Of course, coming out of that battle group 50 quarters, I think this was a very good choice by Joris. He knows that his opponents went for some tier 1 heavy play. Of course, none of them going for tier 2 means that there really aren't all that many units on the field that can actually deal with this half track. Now, the M3 Scout Car should have enough mobility to at least escape the clutches of that 20mm cannon. But overall, actually it's 37mm, but overall, this thing is going to be pretty uncontested in the south or whatever, wherever it gets sent. The only problem would be the penal satchel charges for it. I mean, of course, it has to be a little bit careful about that. And even if it uses the concealing smoke, you could say that, well, oh wow, what the hell? Did it just fire while setting up? I'm pretty sure that it was setting up and then fired. Well, if so, then pretty good usage of that bug. I guess it was a attack round. So he was moving while setting up, and that's attack move. Maybe he then used attack round, and that somehow bypassed the need to set up, which would be, wow, would be pretty strong. I mean, this thing does have quite a lot of damage. And it's supposed to be mitigated in its effectiveness by the fact that it's not flexible. It can either stand still or fire. It can either move or fire. And if it wants to fire, it needs to stand still and be vulnerable. But if it can fire while setting up, then that kind of takes that away now, can it? Yeah, look, it's firing while setting up. Either it's a visual bug for the interface, or it's a pretty serious bug. I mean, it's shredding apart the penals. It would be doing that even without the bug anyway, so this is fine. And right now it seems like Joris's troops are taking some casualties, but he's going for some Jaegers. Jaegers get behind Captain S. Price's forces and force away the snipers. Of course, doesn't want to get sniped by the Jaegers because they do have like the execution ability. As you can see, these very, very low penals might just get the they might get the execution, but no Jaegers actually hit their rounds, so that's kind of unfortunate. Yeah, another award for marksmanship, as they always say. It seems like they just cannot really shoot. And overall, it just seems like the Germans have the control of the field again. And thanks to this flat half track, it's just going to be a little bit of a uphill battle for our allies. I haven't been focusing too much, actually, on Jamrock. It seems like, however, he's also run into some issues up here. against Johnson. And this is mostly because I'm guessing he's been running. Wait, how? So we have 3 penals and a shock troop versus 4 grenadiers. How has he been not capturing this north? Seems like Jam and Rock is having some trouble. Might have been sending a little bit too many of his units down south. Yeah, I think that maybe having sent that clown car earlier down south might have been a bit of a mistake. I mean, with the kind of forces that he's got, he should be able to defeat Johnson quite easily. I mean, Johnson really doesn't have all that much firepower unless his grenadiers get some veterancy. Because, yeah, 3 of these have MG42s, but overall, with the penals and, of course, the shock troops and the clown car, he should be able to quite easily wipe the floor with these grenadiers. But it's not happening, so there's clearly something wrong up here, and I'm still not quite sure what it is. So Captain S. Price, of course, with the sniper getting up to Vet 2, and he's going for a support weapons campaign. Of course he needs that. I mean, the Soviets really need the support weapons to counter that flak. And even later on, with some later German armor, you're going to need at least AT guns anyway, because AT guns are just so very important. Lacking the generic vulnerability of the Soviet tanks to enemy vehicles. And of course, having a little bit of a better penetration when it comes to like offensive capabilities. AT guns for the Soviets do generally tend to perform a little bit better than their tanks. So overall, not bad. Not bad to get some AT guns, and I think Captain S. Price is really going for that instead of, like, for example, Maxims or mortars. I'm not sure that it would be a good idea to go with a mortar right now. I don't think it would be that great. And it's just a bit of a lull. I mean, seems like we just have a recon plane alone flying around, and not much is happening. I mean, of course, the Germans still have the advantage, especially considering in the south they have this entire sort of concentration of forces. They've got Ken River, they've got the repaired flak that can defend against infantry, of course, while the Raketten deals with tanks. And because of that, it seems like the Soviets are actually being kind of forced to push a little bit more up north. As you can see, they've got most of their units working towards the center, where they can use this building as a bit of a makeshift garrison. And it just seems like, ooh, AT gun. So an AT gun punishing that flak half-track and forcing it away from the position. Of course, the good thing about this map for the Germans right now is that they can use these buildings as a defensive advantage, not only by garrisoning units in them, but also by pulling, for example, this damaged flak half-track behind the building, just to avoid being in a line of sight. And at this point, it just seems like they're going to have to do that a lot, because as you can see, the Axis now, finally, don't really have uncontested like domination of the field, because the Allies have AT guns at this point, so they have some ways to actually deal with these vehicles. Although it's still not enough, because it seems like the overall combination of forces still favors the Axis. I mean, as you can see, the Allies just have to retreat back to their base right now, and it's just not that good of a situation for them. I mean, overall, they could be doing better, and overall, you just know it. I mean, Captain S. Price is going for another penal at this point. With 200 fuel in the bank, I'm really wondering why. I mean, 200 fuel, you could just get anything from that. I mean, of course he lacks the manpower to use that fuel efficiently, but he could be trying to build towards a later game tech. I mean, he could at least try to go for a tier 3 and tier 4. Even if he's not going to have the manpower to actually build anything out of them, he should at least get the capabilities. I mean, he might be waiting until, for example, KV-1s or M4Cs become available. At this point, with 8 CPs, he could go for the counterattack and try to get some KV-1s out, or wait for a couple more CPs for the conscripts, not the conscripts, the M4C Sherman, with, of course, the conscript repair kit to support them. I am not sure about either. I mean, of course, it would be good to have them, but actually, who am I kidding? M4Cs would be excellent right now. Of course, in decent enough numbers, but overall, that's going to need to come, I guess he can't really you know, counter what the Germans have right now in the space of a few minutes. He's going to need to play the long game, because he needs to amass like 2 or 3 M4C Shermans. Of course, we have Joris going for a very, very sort of call-in heavy strategy with the Ostwinds and the Jaegers. And that could be overall countered, of course, by M4Cs, because, well, the Ostwind really, really struggles in that kind of regard. But we're going to have to see what, you know, Johnson goes for, and he's going for a tier 4 and a Brumbear, so even that would be a little bit countered by something like an M4C Sherman spam. And Gem and Rock still hasn't gone for any later tiers, so I'm still not quite sure what game these Soviets are playing. Overall, it's just kind of weird. Speaking of weird, these engagements, they are weird, and yeah, as a testimony, these Volksgrenadiers run into a flamethrower and have to run away, very, very narrowly escaping the shock troops. They just barely get away. That's incredibly lucky. In the meantime, in the center, it looks like the Ostwind was fighting with way too many AT guns, and so after the AT guns are repulsed, the Ostwind can just kind of back away a little bit more safely and get itself repaired. There's still a lot of mines on the field for the Germans, which is of course quite good, so that they don't really have to fear getting chased by Allied tanks too much. And we have another Ostwind by Joris, so this definitely is going to be quite a lot of anti-infantry. That could work out in the favor of Joris. It could also work out against them, though. He's really investing a lot of fuel into anti-infantry. And what if the Allies come out with a vehicle such as this M4C Sherman? Well, I'm guessing that these Ostwinds are really going to pay for their insolence as the M4C punishes them. And at this point, there's only some Rakenwerfers around that are going to be able to deal with that. I mean, the Brumbear could help, but it could also kind of fail. At this point, however, this M4C is really chasing in a little bit too far, and it's running the gauntlet of AT guns, and so of course it takes way too many rounds of AT and dies. It just kind of charged in without thinking about what could be around. I mean, if I was playing with the M4C Sherman, as soon as I saw the first Rakenwerfer, I'd be like, nah, I'm out of here. Because, I mean, I know that my opponent has gone for 2 Ostwinds, right? So it stands to reason that he would have invested quite a lot into anti-tank guns, especially considering that he's only got 1 Volksgrenadier. Of course, Captain S. Price doesn't really have that good of an idea of what the Germans actually have, but I mean, he can get a rough estimate, and he's of course a really good player, so he should have done that. But oh well. It seems like overall that's going to be a bit of a problem, because I mean, that was the first M4C Sherman. I mean, Captain S. Price was kind of relying on that to be a shock move, just pulling it out. That's what she said. Just pulling it out at the right moment and, you know, surprising the enemy, doing a lot of damage with that. But it didn't really end up working out. I mean, of course, we also have a KV-1, well, not a KV-1, a KV-8 by Jammerrock, with, of course, anti-infantry tactics. He can go for that call-in, and he looks like he's going to try to use that to roast up some grenadiers for dinner, and that could work. However, there's a roving Brumbear around here. Not quite sure what it's going to do, and in fact, it's going to get a little bit surprised out by the anti-tank gun, but the anti-tank gun itself is going to die because it's got infantry support, and yeah, there goes Grenadiers. Grenadiers trying to, well, actually no, Jamrock trying to suppress or force the Grenadiers to retreat with the propaganda artillery. Not really working out, and right now it looks like the KV Flamer almost took out the squad, but they managed to escape. And at this point, the KV Flamethrower is not in the best position. I mean, there's a lot of German units in the area, only saved by the fact that there's a lot of Allied AT guns. Yeah, overall, just these Ostwinds are just kind of a nuisance for the Allies, kind of baiting in a response, and then when the response happens, oh wait, the Germans actually have a lot more stuff around. 105mm howitzer barrage, and here comes a second M4C Sherman, which once again runs straight into the enemy and tries to do something, but takes a huge amount of damage, actually a pretty big burst from the Ostwind and the Flak. Then it hits, you know, the AT gun portion of the line, and at this point it's just kind of in trouble. I mean, it's trying to just juggle around position so that the AT guns don't really hit it, but at the same time it's eating rear armor shots from the Flak, and the Flak destroys the M4C. Wow. So Flax plus Ostwinds actually surprisingly effective. I mean, at shooting in the rear armor of the Sherman. So what Joris is doing right now is actually incredibly clever in a way. So he's using the Ostwinds as an initial bait to draw in the medium tanks into the 80-gun line. Then the 80-gun line, of course, needs to be flanked by the medium tanks so that they don't take damage while they shoot the Ostwinds and try to destroy them. But in trying to get behind the 80 guns or around the 80 guns, they expose their rear armor to the Ostwinds, who are in the meantime just kind of standing still instead of retreating, which is what they normally do. And wow, great Ostwind play actually. Managing to get into the base and getting a kill on one of these squads. Unfortunately, is going to die. Could have gotten the kill on the sniper, but very, very unfortunately does not do that. So Ostwind's loss is a little bit unfortunate and kind of unnecessary. But he tried to kill the sniper, which was, well, a pretty decent idea, because of course the sniper is just so very annoying for the Axis right now. And yeah, so that was kind of Joris's strategy, I'm thinking. Just trying to lure them in with the Ostwind, and then doubly luring them in with the AT guns, and then using the combination to defeat medium armor. Now, the obvious problem with that is, what if they hadn't gone for medium armor, but they had gone for heavy armor? Like, for example, what if Captain S. Price, instead of going for M4Cs, what if he would have gone for an S2? Or what if he would have gone for SU-85s? In that case, I feel like this strategy would have been in trouble overall, because of course, the heavy tank or the tank destroyer could just kind of sit outside the range of the AT gun and pepper at the Ostwinds, forcing them away and then allowing the infantry an easy march in to destroy the AT guns, or at least force them away. But hey, didn't really happen, so don't need to worry about it too much. And Jamie Rock has had an interesting choice. I mean, he's gone for another KB Flamer, so he might be trying to, I guess, spam KB Flamers? An interesting choice again. I'm not 100% on it. I wouldn't have gone for it, to say the least, but I guess he wanted extra killing power against the Grenadiers by Johnson. And Johnson right now has gone for a Panther, so he's going for a very, very classic, just wait for this tier 4, then bring out the vehicles. And it's kind of working out. I mean, he's got a solid infantry force, he's got an MG, he's got an AT gun to help support that. And then he's just got token 2 engineers to help repair things, help lay down some mines. And because of that, he's been able to keep a pretty decent map control throughout the game. Now he's got his Broom Bear, so he can deal with big swarms of infantry. He's got his Panther, so he can deal with heavier vehicles. And then, thanks to his allies' support, he's been able to hold 3 VPs, and the allies are down to 125 points. So overall, I guess because of their, in a way, lack of counters to the anti-infantry units of the Axis, the Allied infantry was not able to actually have the impact that they perhaps deserved to have on the map. And overall, it seems like the Axis have managed to gain and eventually keep map control without really too many objections from the Allies. And so that was kind of unfortunate, considering we have a 33 kill sniper from Captain S. Price. We of course have a lot of pretty decently vetted up infantry troops from the Allies. So for example, a couple of Vet 2s coming in from Jammin Rock, and a Vet 3, of course, from Captain S. Price. But overall, other than that, other than those isolated cases of success, it just seems like overall the Allied infantry has just been shut down by the huge combined anti-infantry coalition of the Ostwinds, the Flak, and of course the Grenadier span from Johnson. So yeah, that's what I would say. But hey, could have been something else. So right now the Panther is going to come in and destroy the KB Flamethrower. Obviously the Panther does pretty well against KB Flamethrowers, considering that the KBs are pretty slow, the Panther is pretty fast, the KBs can't hurt the Panther, and the Panther can very much hurt the KB. Although, the Panther not only isn't on prioritized vehicles, it runs into way too many AT guns, has to retreat, it's still in range of the AT guns, but thankfully it's out of line of sight, so overall, pretty okay. And the Flak half-track, that insult injury, actually destroys the AT gun wreckage, 28 kills for that flak hat-trick, definitely a driving force behind the German early game successes and mid-game consolidation. Quite well played by Joris, keeping that thing alive with pretty good usage of the smoke. I saw pretty much every time he was in any kind of danger with that, he just popped the smoke and got out. Really didn't care too much whether or not he was using up munitions with that. He definitely placed the priority on keeping the flak alive as much as possible to gain veterancy and to have it be an asset even later into the game. Because as you can see right now with the extra veterancy, wow, that was a lot of damage coming in from the Burn Bear. With the extra veterancy, I'm not sure if it's the Vet 2. Really no. See, I learned to play Nubas. See, what I thought is that it had some kind of suppression buff, but it looks like that was just the base suppression. Wow, still, excellent suppression unit, even from the start, but I thought that one of those really was the result of a veterancy buff, but it looks like, yeah, you just get more rate of fire, which might contribute to more suppression overall. Of course, if you fire more, you're going to suppress more. I guess that's what allowed it to suppress them so quickly. I don't know. Anyway, so that's pretty much what I think. I mean, maybe the Allies should have gone for some heavies and TDs instead of anti-infantry heavies and generic medium tanks. Normally, I would be the advocate of the medium tank pretty much 100% of the time, but considering this situation, of course, the Allies didn't know that there were so many Reckenwerfers around because, well, they're Reckenwerfers. That's what they're good at. They hide. But they should have at least guessed in some way or another. So overall, yeah, I was definitely proven wrong by the Ostwinds and the flak. Well, more the Ostwinds. I usually just kind of hate on Ostwinds. And yeah, I'm pretty happy to see that this unit actually got used pretty well this time. So thank y'all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.